Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at an answer to a question somebody was asking over on Reddit about how you can change ammunition of certain platforms. So specifically our lovely friend over here, the HIMARS. Now if you know this HIMARS unit here, if I were to go ahead and click on it and pop open the weapon screen, one of the things you'd probably notice is this unit is made up of several smaller units. We have a bunch of these different platforms. And when you go ahead and open this little box here, what you're probably going to observe is there's actually a lot of different ammunition choices we have for this particular unit. Now for the example here, we're going to go ahead and load up some of these fun MGM 168A attack hams. This is the unitary high explosive version over here. And one of the things you'll notice is it says no reloads available. So you're saying, oh, that's easy to fix. I'm going to go up to the magazine button over here. I'm going to go ahead and go to the HIMARS battery. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these, like I say, like 20 or something. I'm going to scroll down here to where it has the one that we want. I'm going to come up here and say, I don't know, 20 or something like that. That looks pretty good. Then, of course, you come back over here. You pop the magazines button. You pop open the HIMARS battery. Oh, not the battery. My bad. You'd open up the weapon screen here. You'd scroll on down, and of course, you'd see that this one is now an accessible option. So you're like, sweet. I know what to do. I'm going to come over here and push this button. This is reload priority. And we're going to speed up time a little bit. And I'm going to unspeed up time a little bit. So let's see what happened when we did that. Let's take a look at my lovely HIMARS here, and you'll now observe the fact that my TACAMS is just sitting here in the ether. It says it's ready to fire, but it's not able to fire. And the reason, of course, it's not able to fire is because of the fact it wasn't originally set up to begin with. And that's one of the fun little, I guess you want to call them quirks of a command here. So what we actually have to do here is we have to tell the HIMARS battery that that is a weapon we wanted to use originally, even though there was no ammunition for it. Essentially, we have to make that electronic link within the software code itself. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go ahead and reset my scenario here. Let's go load recent. Let's load up this one. Yes, I use the same name for absolutely everything. Oh, well, you'll deal with it someday. Let's go back to my HIMARS. And let's go ahead and reset some of these things. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to go up to the magazine page, and I'm going to make some room for the missiles we're about to remove. So if you remember, I've got a bunch of these spirals. These things come in like little packs, so there's a lot of them together. So I'm going to say, I don't know, 10. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run over here to my regular weapons page, head to one of my guys. I'm going to go ahead and empty out these right here. So I'm going to set this to 0. Then I'm going to head up to my attackums here. I'm going to go ahead and press change, set that to 1. Go ahead and close that screen. Now, if I click on this guy again, you'll observe that we have an MGM 168 attackams ready to go. If I actually were to come down here, you'll actually see that it is in blue and it is ready to fire and ready for action. So let's go ahead and test it out, right? So let's go click over here, and everything's pretty good to go. You can see we have an OODA loop limitation here that happens, but that's fine. I'm going to fire it anyway. Was I in range, by the way? That was something I always forget about this weapon. These things have really painfully long ranges, so you have to kind of remember that sometimes. Fast forward time. There it goes. So as you can see, my lovely little attackams is on the way. It's kind of cruising through the atmosphere here. You can see it's about 123 kilometers up there, so it's not exactly what I consider to be a low-flying target here. So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit so you can get an idea of the... Look how high up this thing is. And again, these are ballistic weapons. These are not like hee-hee weapons. These are very, 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 very serious, very, very long-range weapons, which are incredibly effective. So we'll go ahead and speed up time here. You can see it's 127 kilometers up, and it's just now starting to arc downwards. Now, of course, if you're an SA, I don't know, SA-10, SA-21, you'd be taking pot shots at this thing as it starts to hit this part of the atmosphere. But boy, is it moving. That would be a very involved target to try to strike here. So anyway, let's see what happens when it gets down here. It's unitary HE, which means that the warhead does not malfunction. You should get one bang. Let's see if that actually works today. Bunk. I'd say that building got obliterated pretty darn good there. Not as much fun as the regular ones because they tend to sprinkle the whole environment. Now keep in mind the same strategy works for everything. So one of the cool bits here is I'll actually come back to my HIMARS battery. If I were to go back into the weapons page and click here, you will see that it has actually reloaded our friends the spirals here. And the reason it's done that is because this is the last thing we have on board. Now you're sitting here going, okay, that's not bad. I can get behind all this. Like, how do I do it all? So, well, here's how you do it all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go over down to my lovely one that I want to use. Unitary is pretty fun. We're going to go with the Attackums B here. This one's kind of fun to play with. Go ahead and put 20 of those in there. I'll go back to my battery. And remember, it's going to be the same issue you had before. When I go back up to this weapons page real quick, you can see I have reloads available. And again, if I can run over and hit reload priority, this doesn't make mental sense because you can't easily, like, basically pop the missile out and put the new missile in. It's kind of an irritating process. That's my understanding anyway. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Come down here, set this to 0, go up to the one I want to fire, and I go ahead and press change this to 1. I'm also going to set this to reload priority, which means when we swap everything out after we take our shot, we will have another one, basically, another one ready to go. So that'll work actually pretty well for us. So let's go down here. I'll say I fire 2 of those. Go ahead, unpause. So what he's going to do is he's going to take his whatever time, although I 50-50 bet. Did I actually click the button when I did that? Let's go ahead and see a logo. Let's see here. Weapon is on magazines. I let it reload. Shoot. I always do that by accident. And unfortunately, sometimes when you do this, you're going to run into that problem where it's like, oh, I can't load the weapon at this time. Because remember that link I was mentioning earlier, that makes it a little tricky. So I'm just going to go in here, go back to weapons, go back to this guy, go ahead and drop this back to 0. And again, you can do these things very quickly if you are in the editor. They're kind of a pain in the butt to do if you're going to do them elsewhere. Keep in mind, this also works for things like torpedoes and stuff like that, but you just have to be mindful of the way you set it up. Now, there's other techniques you can use as well for this particular process, and I'll show you another way to do it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a generic unit here, and generic units are actually really, really fun because they give you the ability to essentially, I wonder if I can just type in generic rocket. Yes, I can, because I can just type in SSM. Haha, look at that. So we can actually create like a little silo and everything like that if you want to get really, really goofy in here. But again, I don't want to do anything too like you can do a little trailer. I love that stuff. So let's go ahead and create a little battery here. This is an SSM. Press OK. If I click on this unit, you can see it has some machine guns. That's fine. So the cool thing is if I actually come in here, you have this lovely button here, and we can actually add on the goofiness directly to this silly 7.62 millimeter mount. This is one of the cool things about command. I can actually come down here, add weapon record, and I can actually take and type something in like this, which is really goofy. So let's see here, what are all these fun things we could put on here? We could do 80 of them. That seems like a very rude way to inconvenience our opponents. Let's go ahead and set that one there. I'm going to make sure I'm paused. A lot of things don't work if you're not paused when you're changing them, by the way. Very quick and very easy way to ruin all the fun that you're having right now. There we go. I guess I can fit about 80. That seems like a fair bet there. And again, I've just quickly converted this unit over there. All right, let's do some Shift F1. Hold down the Shift key when you do this. Let go. And now we're ready to go. I'll send you a couple of those. We're going to give you a couple of those. I guess I'll give you a couple of those. Your brain's going, this is not right. This is not right. You shouldn't do it. Too bad. All right, let's go ahead and unpause here. So now we're going to be firing from our little homemade unit here. And you can see, look at that. This is like point blank range for these things, by the way. All right, again, point blank range is, 80 miles, but that's a different issue. Here they come back through the atmosphere in our little village here. It's just sort of relaxing. It's having a pretty good day. Everybody's outside having their virtual lemonade, and then these things come raiding in, and you'll see by the speckles the way they cluster everywhere when they hit. It's actually kind of cool. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can watch the sparkles. It's like fireworks, extremely, extremely lethal fireworks that spray shrapnel everywhere, and they're very unpleasant. Kind of feel bad for my little Sparta unit here because he's just kind of going around at altitude. You also notice we didn't do as much damage to the building as the unitary HE, but if you were like an infantry group all bunched around this, thank you for playing. You're no longer part of our experience here. So as you can see, that's a quick and easy way to go ahead and adjust those things. You got to remember to change the weapons in addition to the magazine if you intend to have reloads, though. Or do what I do, build it up from scratch, and it's even easier. Enjoy.